Welcome to the Rebel to Succeed podcast. It's your boy, Anthony Williams, the founder of rebeltosucceed.com. The purpose of this podcast is to share tips, advice, and strategies to help you improve in all areas of your life. My mission is to make a positive difference in your life to help you live your best life. Now let's get it. What up, Rebels? It's your boy, Ant from Rebel to Succeed, coming at you with another podcast episode. So, in this podcast episode, I want to share some very vital information. Very vital information by a lady named Lucy Hone. Lucy Hone. I hope I'm saying her name correctly. But she gave a very inspirational speech. It kind of hit home for me, and I wanted to share this clip by her, and hopefully you guys can take something from it. But check out this clip in this speech by Lucy Hone.
Adversity doesn't discriminate. If you are alive, you are going to have to, or you've already had to, deal with some tough times. I started studying resilience research a decade ago at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. It was an amazing time to be there because the professors who trained me had just picked up the contract to train all 1.1 million American soldiers to be as mentally fit as they always have been physically fit. As you can imagine, you don't get a much more skeptical, discerning audience than the American drill sergeants returning from Afghanistan. So for someone like me, whose main quest in life is trying to work out how we take the best of scientific findings out of academia and bring them to people in their everyday lives, it was a pretty inspiring place to be. I finished my studies in America, and I returned home here to Christchurch to start my doctoral research. I'd just begun that study when the Christchurch earthquakes hit. So I put my research on hold, and I started working with my home community to help them through that terrible post-quake period. I work with all sorts of organizations, from government departments to building companies and all sorts of community groups, teaching them the ways of thinking and acting that we know boost resilience. I thought that was my calling, my moment to put all of that research to good use. But sadly, I was wrong. For my own true test came in 2014, on Queen's birthday weekend. We and two other families had decided to go down to Lake Ohau and bike the Alps to Ocean. At the last minute, my beautiful 12-year-old daughter, Abby, decided to hop in the car with her best friend, Ella, also 12, and Ella's mum, Sally, a dear, dear friend of mine. On the way down, as they travelled through Rakaia on Thompson's track, a car sped through a stop sign, crashing into them and killing all three of them instantly. In the blink of an eye, I find myself flung to the other side of the equation, waking up with a whole new identity. Instead of being the resilience expert, suddenly I'm the grieving mother, waking up, not knowing who I am, trying to wrap my head around unthinkable news, my world smashed to smithereens. Suddenly, I'm the one on the end of all this expert advice. And I can tell you, I didn't like what I heard one little bit. In the days after Abby died, we were told we were now prime candidates for family estrangement, that we were likely to get divorced and we were at high risk of mental illness. Wow, I remember thinking, thanks for that. I thought my life was already pretty shit. Leaflets describe the 5 stages of grief: anger, bargaining, denial, depression, acceptance. Victim support arrived at our door, and told us that we could expect to write off the next 5 years to grief. I know the leaflets and the resources meant well, but in all of that advice, they left us feeling like victims, totally overwhelmed by the journey ahead and powerless to exert any influence over our grieving whatsoever. I didn't need to be told how bad things were. Believe me, I already knew things were truly terrible. What I needed most was hope. I needed a journey through all that anguish, pain, and longing. Most of all, I wanted to be an active participant in my grief process. So I decided to turn my back on their advice and decided instead to conduct something of a self-experiment. I'd done the research, I had the tools. I wanted to know how useful they would be to me now in the face of such an enormous mountain to climb. Now, I have to confess at this point, I didn't really know that any of this was going to work. Parental bereavement is widely acknowledged as the hardest of losses to bear. But I can tell you now, 5 years on, what I already knew from the research, that you can rise up from adversity, that there are strategies that work, that it is utterly possible to make yourself think and act in certain ways that help you navigate tough times. There is a monumental body of research on how to do this stuff. Today, I'm just going to share with you 3 strategies. These are my go-to strategies that I relied upon and saved me in my darkest days. They're 3 strategies that underpin all of my work, and they're pretty readily available to us all. Anyone can learn them. You can learn them right here today. So number 1, resilient people get that shit happens. They know that suffering is part of life. This doesn't mean they actually welcome it in. They're not actually delusional. Just that when the tough times come, they seem to know that suffering is part of every human existence. And knowing this stops you from feeling discriminated against when the tough times come. Never once did I find myself thinking, why me? In fact, I remember thinking, why not me? Terrible things happen to you just like they do everybody else. That's your life now, time to sink or swim. The real tragedy is that not enough of us seem to know this any longer. We seem to live in an age where we're entitled to a perfect life, where shiny, happy photos on Instagram are the norm, when actually, as you all demonstrated at the start of my talk, the very opposite is true. Number 2, resilient people are really good at choosing carefully where they select their attention. They have a habit of realistically appraising situations and typically managing to focus on the things that they can change and somehow accept the things that they can't. This is a vital, learnable skill for resilience. As humans, we are really good at noticing threats and weaknesses. We are hardwired for that negative. We're really, really good at noticing them. Negative emotions stick to us like Velcro, whereas positive emotions and experiences seem to bounce off like Teflon. Being wired in this way is actually really good for us and served us well from an evolutionary perspective. So imagine for a moment I'm a cave woman and I'm coming out of my cave in the morning and there's a saber-toothed tiger on one side and a beautiful rainbow on the other. It kind of pays for my survival for me to notice this tiger. The problem is, we now live in an era where we are constantly bombarded by threats all day long, and our poor brains treat every single one of those threats as though they were a tiger. Our threat focus, our stress response, is permanently dialed up. Resilient people don't diminish the negative, but they also have worked out a way of tuning into the good. One day, when doubts were threatening to overwhelm me, I distinctly remember thinking, no, you do not get to get swallowed up by this. You have to survive. You've got so much to live for. Choose life, not death. Don't lose what you have to what you have lost. In psychology, we call this benefit finding. In my brave new world, it involved trying to find things to be grateful for. At least our wee girl hadn't died of some terrible, long, drawn-out illness. She died suddenly, instantly, sparing us and her that pain. We had a huge amount of social support from family and friends to help us through. And most of all, we still had two beautiful boys to live for who needed us now and deserved to have as normal a life as we could possibly give them. Being able to switch the focus of your attention to also include the good has been shown by science to be a really powerful strategy. So in 2005, Marty Seligman and colleagues conducted an experiment, and all they asked people to do was think of 3 good things that had happened to them each day. What they found over the 6-month course of this study was that those people showed higher levels of gratitude, higher levels of happiness, and less depression over the course of the 6-month study. When you're going through grief, you might need a reminder, or you might need permission to feel grateful. In our kitchen, we've got a bright pink neon poster that reminds us to accept the good. In the American Army, they framed it a little bit differently. They talked to the army about hunting the good stuff. Find the language that works for you, but whatever you do, make an intentional, deliberate, ongoing effort to tune into what's good in your world. Number 3, resilient people ask themselves, is what I'm doing helping or harming me? This is a question that's used a lot in good therapy. And boy, is it powerful. This was my go-to question in the days after the girls died. I would ask it again and again. Should I go to the trial and see the driver? Would that help me, or would it harm me? Well, that was a no-brainer for me. I chose to stay away. But Trevor, my husband, decided to meet with the driver at a later time. Late at night, I'd find myself sometimes poring over old photos of Abby, getting more and more upset. I'd ask myself, really? Is this helping you, or is it harming you? Put away the photos. Go to bed for the night. Be kind to yourself. This question can be applied to so many different contexts. Is the way I'm thinking and acting helping or harming you in your bid to get that promotion, to pass that exam, to recover from a heart attack? So many different ways. I write a lot about resilience, and over the years, this one strategy has prompted more positive feedback than any other. I get scores of letters and emails and things from all over the place of people saying what a huge impact it's had on their lives. Whether it is forgiving family, ancient transgressions, arguments from Christmases past, or whether it is just trawling through social media, whether it is asking yourself whether you really need that extra glass of wine, asking yourself whether what you're doing, the way you're thinking, the way you're acting is helping or harming you, puts you back in the driver's seat. It gives you some control over your decision-making. 3 strategies, pretty simple. They're readily available to us all, anytime, anywhere. They don't require rocket science. Resilience isn't some fixed trait. It's not elusive that some people have and some people don't. It actually requires very ordinary processes, just a willingness to give them a go. I think we all have moments in life where our life path splits and the journey we thought we were going down takes some veers off to some terrible direction that we never anticipated and we certainly didn't want. It happened to me. It was awful beyond imagining. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you think, there's no way I'm coming back from this, I urge you to lean into these strategies and think again. I won't pretend that thinking this way is easy, and it doesn't remove all the pain. But if I've learned anything over the last 5 years, it is that thinking this way really does help. More than anything, it has shown me that it is possible to live and grieve at the same time. And for that, I will be always grateful.
So that was the clip by Lucy. Very touching, but also informational and inspirational speech by her. Yeah, man, it touches on something that it hit. I feel like it will probably hit home for a lot of people because a lot of people face adversity and pain in their lives, and there's a lot of people that's dealing with pain, and sometimes they may not know how to deal with it, right? And me personally, I feel like it's a very important subject to touch on because pain can control people, and through pain, sometimes comes fear, and all of those things, pain and fear, can control people. I'll start off by saying this. So I'm most motivated by pain. So that just goes to show you how important pain is. Like a lot of successful people in the world are motivated by pain. They'll tell you, I do what I do because I don't want this, and this such thing to happen. Right? That's pain. That's a pain point. So they're motivated by their pain. And I try to use it to my advantage, but there's some people, right, in the world that don't know how to deal with pain. And the way that they deal with their pain is it will hurt them. You know what I mean? They deal with it in a negative way, and it's not in a positive way. So I feel like, using pain to, help you reach success is a positive thing, right? Because I'm using this energy, I'm using this thing, this emotion, I'm using this pain as something to catapult me to success, right? This is one of the main factors to my success is, I use the pain. So, but some people, they receive pain, and they get pain, and they they don't know how to deal with it, and it can ruin people. And it could even be not even really like physical, like pain, like if you cut off your finger. I'm talking about like, the loss of a loved one, like kind of like what Lucy was saying in her speech. And I feel like that pain is kind of like, the worst. You know what I mean? Like people may, think that they may, think that, pain of you, breaking the leg or breaking the arm or, breaking some type of bone is it hurts. But I feel like the pain that you really can't see is the worst pain. And some people don't know how to deal with that pain, and some people turn to drugs. Some people turn to just things that's negative. You know what I mean? Like people get addicted to all of the things that are just not good for you, that can ruin your life. And I'll be the first to say that, I used to deal with my pain, and I used to bottle my emotions and things of that nature in the past. And I would, try to drown it with alcohol or drugs. Right. So, I don't, point the finger and I don't judge people. Yeah, I feel like there's nothing wrong with, um, you know, having a good time and, drinking alcohol here and there, or drinking some wine, or you know what I mean? But you shouldn't be using it to, escape pain, right? That's a negative way to use those type of things, right? So, that's how people. That's a lot. That's one of the main reasons why people use, alcohol and drugs and stuff like that. And it's like I feel like that's you shouldn't try to be you shouldn't be trying to escape reality from your pain, right? You just need to learn how to deal with life, deal with the pain, and adapt to it and get around it and get over it, right? So, but I feel like it's a major thing, and I'm glad that I came across this speech by her because it can be one of the number one things that can hold people back from success. It can be one of the number one things because people don't want to deal with pain, right? And pain comes in all different shapes or sizes. It comes in, adversity comes in all different shapes or sizes. And I love the fact that she shared, some ways to, how to, deal with it and how to evaluate, adversity and things of that nature. So, hopefully you guys found some type of value in this. I know I did. I really did. I'm glad bigs up to her. It's a very powerful speech. And, yeah, man, I also want to send a shout out to, not really a shout out, but I want to send my, blessings to anyone who has ever lost a child or something, you know and I know that could probably really hurt, man, you know what I mean. So hopefully I never experienced anything like that in my life. I don't plan on it, and I don't think it's gonna happen, but I want to send my blessings out to you guys, anybody who has ever dealt with that. I send my blessings, my condolences, and all of those good things, positive energy to you. But I feel like, this is a great clip for you to learn how to deal with that type of pain and also just any pain in general. You know what I mean? Because a loss of a child can literally halt somebody. The loss of any loved one can really halt somebody's aspirations and visions for success. It can really stop your life and, just halt everything that you had going for yourself. And I personally wanted to share this clip with you guys, and hopefully, if somebody is going through anything like this, it can help you and help, just help you see things in a different light and be able to deal with your pain the correct way. The adversity and struggles and stuff. So yeah, man. Hopefully you guys found some value in this clip because it was. I feel like it was very valuable. Yeah, if you found value in this clip, I want you to go and leave a review. And also, I wanted to share. I also did want to share that. I wanted to say this. Once you, okay, once you realize that in life you are going to experience some type of pain and suffering and adversity, you'll be able to experience or basically get over all of the things that life throw at you and be able to reach success way faster. Because some people don't. I feel like people don't. Some people may not realize that there's going to be. What she say? She said in the clip that suffering is a part of human existence. That's everybody. Like suffering is a part of every human existence. You're going to suffer in some way, shape, or form. She's telling you this. There's no way around it. And once you get that into your head and you accept the fact that, it doesn't matter how rich or poor I am, it doesn't matter how it doesn't matter what type of life you live, you're going to experience some type of pain. It's just inevitable, right? So once you realize that, I feel like you'll be able to deal with life and be able to, go through life in a much more and live a much more happier life because you know how to deal with this and you know that this is just a part of life. So some people can't get over that. So yeah, I wanted to share this clip by her. Hopefully you found value in it. If so, I invite you guys to go and leave a review. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Let me let me know how I'm doing on the podcast and all of those good things. Also, go to rebeltosucceed.com and check out the content there. Show somebody some love today. Reach everybody by exercising love. Put a smile on somebody's face. And it's your boy Ant from Rebel to Succeed, and I catch you guys in the next episode. I want to thank you for joining me today and listening to this podcast. If you found this episode helpful or valuable in any way, then I encourage you to leave an honest review and subscribe to the Rebel to Succeed podcast for future episodes. To receive more content and value, make sure to visit the Rebel to Succeed website at www.rebeltosucceed.com. And finally, always remember that to succeed in life, you have to reach everyone by exercising love. So make sure to show somebody some love today. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you next time.